Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast. Cubs lose to the Mets 11-2 to start out their road trip out in Queens. First of a 3-game set with the Mets after a great homestand where the Cubs won 3 out of 4 against the then first place Reds and then 2 out of 3 against the best team in the National League, the Braves. The Cubs go out to New York, and what did we get? A rough game for Drew Smyly, a 2+ hour rain delay, and a whole lot of nothing. The good news is, fellas, I'm winning the Mega Millions on Tuesday. $1.5 billion.
So is this
everything will be better?
You're never going to come back after that?
If I win the Mega Millions, I will not be back. I'll be on a beach for the rest of my life
someday anyway. That's also the other good news.
Yeah, this one stunk.
Yeah, this
is the best way to put it, right?
This is
one we'll forget about in the next 2 weeks. Hell, if they win tomorrow, I'll forget about this one.
This was the worst.
At least you hope so, right? Like,
yeah.
You hope you're able to forget about this one in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We had all the good vibes built up from a great homestand and great numbers. People joining in on the live chat, watching the show, joining in on the fun. This was one of the worst games of the year. Not just the result of the game, but then the rain delay. It went on forever. Brendan with his super chat saying, I still can't believe Smiley went 8 perfect innings this year. I was
7, but
yeah, I was thinking
thing.
that he had a perfect game going. It's hard to believe it's the same guy in the same season.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I think I said it on pregame, or maybe I said it on a previous show where Smiley was starting. The first 2 months of the year, his season started. He had his very first start of the year. He was not great in Cincinnati. Everyone freaked out, and then he went on this unreal stretch from that moment on until the very end of May. I think his very last start in May, he gave up 5 runs, and then since then, he's not been good. So honestly, it's been since the beginning of June, if you don't count the very last start in May. But the guy he pitched unreal after that first start in Cincinnati, and it was clutch because Tyone wasn't pitching well. So, like, to me, he has earned the run that he's been given during this bad stretch for sure. But to me, considering the Cubs are trying to make the playoffs and we're in August, I think that he's on the hot seat, as one might say. Like, I don't really know if they have a better option. I know he's a veteran arm, left-handed pitcher. He's shown to be very good at certain times, but I mean, he was great those 2 months, and then you knew the regression was going to come because he is who he is. We know who he is. It's not like he's some young guy who's going out there as a flamethrower or anything. He has built his career off what he is. And he's already pitched as many innings almost as the career high that he's had in his career.
I was going to say, I wonder if it's fatigue.
Right. Like, I think at this point, I could go without seeing another start. I think Wesneski has been great as a bullpen arm. Maybe Assad is the guy you go with and do a piggyback role with Smiley and Wesneski. I don't know. You want to I'd love to give Jordan Wicks a try, or, Ben Brown. I know they just put him on the minor league injured list. Maybe it's for an innings limit situation, so I don't know if they would do that. I don't know. The only thing that I will give Drew Smyly is that the guy has experience. He won the World Series with the Braves in 2021. He is proven to be on successful teams. The Cubs got to get him right. I think he's more effective at this point out of the bullpen or in a piggyback role, like I said. If he's able to give you 3 or 4 innings and use the ass man or Wesneski as the piggyback, I don't know. Maybe Wesneski should be the guy that should be getting these starts. He's someone that we feel like should be he started the year in the rotation. He had some struggles. He's been good out of the bullpen, though. Do I want to mess with that? No, personally, I don't. So that's why I don't mind that scenario of Smiley, Assad, and Wesneski, like piggyback roles or something. Maybe Killian's part of that too. I don't know. That's kind of the thing the situation is like, okay, Smiley's not been great, but who else do you have that you can rely on? Like, sure, again, Jordan Wicks has high upside. He's a first-round pick in 2021. He hasn't made his major league debut yet, and it's August. The games matter too much to really throw a guy out there and see what happens, in my opinion. Like, so I don't know. Wesneski might be the one that I feel like if you're going to put him in the rotation and let him go, fine. But I'm still going to expect the highs and lows of that experience, which that's basically what we've gotten out of Drew Smyly all year too. So how much are you really changing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned Smiley's first 10 games, had a 2.60 ERA. That was through May 23rd. He had a bad start to end May, as you mentioned. He actually had 3 solid, not great, but 3 solid starts in his first 4 June starts. But overall, like those last, so he had 10, the first 10 starts, and then you go through his next 12, and he's at those next 12, he had a 6.75 ERA. That was going into tonight, and he went, it was
7 earned.
7 earned runs over some amount
5 innings, 7 earned run, 8 hits.
And then 5 earned runs, 7 earned runs, 5 innings pitched. His ERA is over 5. It's 5.05 right now. Yeah. It's been a rough stretch for him. He's had, like I said, a few good games in that stretch, but just not consistently. And I think after the last start he had at home, that was that big comeback, in his favor, and it wasn't like, he obviously talked about the offense coming through, bullpen doing well for him, but even asking him like how he felt about his start, he just kind of said like more of the same. Like it's more of the same. They're still working on things, but can't like kind of get that consistency going and can't find what he had earlier in the year. And this is just another example of it, that he hasn't been able to find the consistency that made him really good the first 10 starts of the season, that got him 7 perfect innings against the Los Angeles Dodgers at some point in time. Like, I don't, it's hard to, they have all their pitch data, and the pitch lab obviously is just kind of an idea. But they have all the pitch data in there. Tommy Hotovy and Daniel Mosquez, like they're going to work and in between starts and keep trying to identify how to find that consistency again, but they're not finding it, and it's been a while. And so I'm kind of with you in that, he had those 2 outings. Were they both against St. Louis, or one was against, what was it? When he came out of the bullpen, when I think Fulmer started.
There was
one.
an opener. He had an
Fulmer started
opener.
one against when St. Louis at home, and then Wesneski started the other one against St. Louis on the road. The first one was not great, but in the second one he had 4 1/3 inning, 1 earned run, and it looked like, hey, like maybe he had found a little something, right? And then he's had 2.
He gave up 1 run in those 4 1/3 innings, and it was literally the first batter, Lars Nootbaar, who hit a solo homer, and then he was fine after that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's like it felt like maybe it turned a little bit of a corner, and then now we've had back-to-back starts where it's, as he said, more of the same, but he just hasn't found that consistency.
He's been giving up too many homers, because like even tonight he was like, it's not even that he was incredibly bad, it was like giving up homers at the wrong time with guys on base.
Pete Alonso,
and I don't.
Was it 2 of the first 3 hits were home runs that he gave, something like that?
Yeah.
The long ball absolutely killed him.
The hits he's given up are going over the fence, and like, it was 3-0 after the first inning. And listen, this Cubs team has made comebacks the last 2-3 weeks, but still, like,
he still had a 32% whiff rate tonight. Like he was missing bats, not like amazingly or anything, but that's a good whiff rate right there. So he was still missing bats. It's just like, it's kind of when he's missing his spots or he's leaving a little too much over the plate. A guy like Pete Alonso is going to take advantage of it, right? So, I struggle to say that the Cubs need to take him out of the rotation, because it's like at that point Steele's your only lefty. There's people that are concerned about Steele's innings low, or his workload so far this season.
Gary said it in the chat, and I agree. They're going to have to skip him at some point just to give him a little bit of a rest.
So then you're going lefty list. I mean, you talk about Hayden, but Hayden's had his specific struggles as a starter. Right. Javier Assad's had a really good run, but it's also been in more lower leverage, multi-inning type roles. And he gave you a solid start Saturday against the Braves. But you don't really know if he's going to be able to keep that up consistently. As you said, there's not like a whole boatload of options at this point in the season. And I think Smiley, he's a veteran. He's pitched for some good teams, as you mentioned, the Braves, won in 2021. I think he pitched out of the bullpen in that postseason run, but he had a role in there. I know they're going to do what they can to try to turn things around for him, get him back somewhere close to where he was in the past. But it's also like, it's hard to say he'd take him out and put Hayden Wisniewski or Javier Assad or bring up Ben Brown or bring up Jordan Wicks, because those guys are all very young pitchers. One who we've seen real struggles this season, specifically while he was in the rotation, and Wisniewski. Assad you don't know about, and then you're putting, especially depending on where, like what the situation is that you're putting some of these guys in, who they're facing. Mm-hmm. Like I saw some people talking about bringing up, maybe I forgot who people were talking about, bringing someone up from AAA to make their debut on Saturday against the Braves. You're asking so much from a rookie starter to go in and pitch against the Braves. That's obviously the Braves are the best team in the National League. The Mets aren't as good as them, obviously, mm-hmm. and the Cubs have a little bit of a softer schedule for the next few weeks. But I'm just kind of working my way around the fact that like I can see where people are coming from as far as like wanting Smiley to not be in the rotation, but I also can't see a much better alternative that forces him out. It's just kind of where I'm at. Like the best outcome right now is just Drew Smyly figuring something out and turning it around, because it has been a pretty long stretch of inconsistency, and I can't see any of these younger guys, or I can't say confidently any of these younger guys are going to come in and replace Smiley and pitch way better than him, because for the most part they're unproven.
Right.
Drew Smyly's a veteran. He's had success in the past. He's had success for a long stretch this year. I think your best outcome is him figuring something out and helping out on this stretch run, because that's,
I think the best outcome, really the only outcome for the Cubs, if they're going to make this run at a postseason spot, and Fangraphs now has them up over 50% for a chance to make the postseason, when they were dead in the water for all of us just several weeks ago. But Drew Smyly is still an important piece, because, as Gary and some people in the chat have said, you are going to need to skip a start, I think, for Steele at some point. You're going to need that depth. He's going to have – maybe it's the piggyback thing Cody was talking about. I like the idea of Assad starting the game and then bringing in Smiley, or Wisniewski starting and bringing in Smiley. The thing that has to happen isn't Smiley getting it right. The thing that has to happen is Stroman coming back and getting it right.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna make a run for the postseason, you need Stroman to go back to being the guy that carries the innings and can be the piggyback off of Steele. You need the 1-2 punch, and then you need Tyone. You need your three guys now to pitch like your three top pitchers the rest of the season. The 4 and 5, you're going to get some bad games every once in a while. And there have been way too many of them for Drew Smyly lately. We talked about the potential of this even before he made the start in the pregame show. So I'm close to the point where I'd like to see him in the bullpen, but to me, the most important thing is not Smiley getting it right. It really is. This highlights how important getting Stroman healthy and right is for this team if they're going to go somewhere.
Victor says that Hayden was better than Smiley is now. When Hayden was in the rotation, Hayden Wisniewski had a 5.51 ERA as a starter this season. So, no, that's not true. As I'm saying, is the option is not. I'm not as confident. Or I can't say with any confidence Hayden will be better, because from the sample that we have of him as a starter this season, he has not been better than Drew Smyly, and that's where I'm coming from.
And I honestly agree with it, because I'm a type of guy that's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And with Hayden Wisniewski, he had a few okay starts. The one start I can think of where I was like, oh, this guy has a future being a starter, was against the Marlins back in early May at Wrigley Field. He was great that start, but overall as a starter, it's been up and down, and just he didn't take the role when Kyle Hendricks was able to come back. He didn't. He just hadn't done enough to keep that spot. They sent him back to Iowa, worked on some things, and he's came back and been great in the bullpen. Why change that? You know what I mean? Like, especially considering they didn't go get a left-handed reliever, and especially because the bullpen's been taxed anyway. And that I was going to say that about Smiley tonight. He should have been done after 5. And I think in a regular situation, if the bullpen wasn't taxed, I don't think David Ross would have thrown him back out there for that 6th inning. And that's why he ended up giving up 7 instead of 5. It's still bad. It's still not great. I'm just saying that the Cubs were down 5-2 at that point. But that was when he sent him back out there for the 6th inning with already over, I think he had 85 pitches, and he already given up 5 runs. It was very telling of how he felt about the bullpen that tonight.
Yeah.
And I can't blame Drew Smyly for that. All I'm saying is that's why, anyone who was talking about, like a lot of people were in the CHGO Cubs Twitter mentions whenever I would send tweets related to like Smiley struggles. They're all saying, Wesneski should have pitched or Assad should have pitched this and that. Well, Wesneski pitched on Friday and Assad pitched on Saturday. You weren't going to get any more innings out of them than you did Drew Smyly tonight.
Right?
And that's why
that
Killian
was
got
the
the
unfortunate part about the rain delay happening when it did, is that Killian came out, threw 5 pitches, and then had to sit for 2 hours. Like he wasn't going to go back in that game.
Right.
That was the unfortunate part because, he looked fine, 5 pitches to get out of that jam, and then I think he gave up 1 run because of the double play, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But took him 5 pitches to get out of there.
Out of a bases loaded, no out situation.
Right. And you're hoping that he's gonna at least carry you a few more innings. Maybe Palencia comes in or whatever. But hopefully, from the Cubs' perspective, Killian carries you for a couple more innings, and then he's done after 5 pitches because they have to sit for 2 hours. Like that was the unfortunate part of when that happened, because basically one guy that they brought up as far as to bring a little bit of relief to the bullpen burned him because of when the rain delay happened.
Go ahead, Luke. Jack R's yelling at us because we're not letting you talk.
Jack's fine. Brendan says the pitch doctor says that Barnhart threw really, really well too.
Gave up his first
Gave up a run.
Here's the thing. I don't want to say
that.
that. I don't want to feel like I'm sugarcoating the struggles of Drew Smyly. Like we can all see it. Like he's not the guy that he was early in the season. So yes, he does need to get it right. Stroman is number 1. Tomorrow you see number 2 for me. Tyone, like the way a team can have someone like Smiley struggle and still survive is now the guy that was supposed to be that number 2 or number 3 on this team steps into that role and finally earns it and takes it. So to me, Tyone, and he's been a guy that's been trending in the right direction in my eyes. Like Smiley's been going this way and Tyone's been going this way. So if they crisscross, it's not the end of the world. In fact, if I had to have it, I would rather have Tyone be the good guy than Smiley be the good guy, to be perfectly honest, because I think Tyone has a higher upside than Drew Smyly does at this point in his career. Thanks to everybody that has joined in the chat.
Hit the like button.
Hit the like button while you're at it. We're up late.
Yeah, 2-hour rain delay does it to you, huh?
Gotta tell you.
Big of us to come on here and do this show.
Gotta tell
Credit to us.
Becky says, Tyone has pitched better. So
no, and then I agree with your point that Stroman obviously is the guy you need to get right.
He might be the most important thing on the team the rest of the season.
And I think, he talked about the hip and said it had been bothering him, but, as a competitor, it's going to be one of those things where he feels like he's good enough to go out and pitch. Hopefully this break, however long that it lasts for him, hopefully he comes back and he feels obviously healthy, more like himself, is not playing with his own mechanics, try to get around it, and he can find his stuff. And someone, said in the chat that Smiley wasn't going to start a playoff game anyway, which I agree with.
Right.
He's not.
He's probably going to go regardless to the bullpen if the Cubs make the playoffs. But he does have to start games for you down the stretch. That's where I'm saying is, as far as the good outcome for the Cubs in terms of Drew Smyly is you can get him right for the last 2 months of the season because he has to start games for you. Maybe they end up putting Wisniewski or Assad or whoever in there, but as of right now, Drew Smyly is in the rotation. He's going to have to start games for you, and that's why I'm saying playoffs notwithstanding, like Smiley has to get right because every fifth day they need him to be good.
And one of the things that has developed this season, it's not a disappointment, but it's maybe a little bit of a surprise, is that even though the farm system is in a much better place than it was several years ago, obviously, you're still not able to go down at this moment. And even though we know that the rebuild is coming with arms, those arms are still far enough away or haven't developed quickly enough for that final step to get to the big leagues. Like we saw Killian last year. Great. He pitched well tonight. I would love to see him be here for a little bit and have some success. That's what you're hoping for. But, last year we were sitting here early in the season and everybody was begging for him to come up thinking it was Mark Pryor coming up to the big leagues,
The hype was
it was real.
For
and so that just hasn't happened. The farm system hasn't totally given you everything you want yet.
I think that if it wasn't August, I'd be very much more open to seeing Jordan Wicks or Ben Brown or whoever in a starting role. Like that's what the Cubs envision those guys. They envision those guys to be starters when they come up. They're not gonna do the Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson route, come out of the bullpen and then make your way to be a starter. I genuinely think that they're gonna try and make those guys starters. I think you're setting them up for failure if you're putting them in these important games that you need to win in a pennant race. You know what I mean? How the Cubs feel about that? What I just said. With that said, if they did call up Jordan Wicks or Ben Brown or whoever, I would absolutely get up for it. That would be exciting to see.
It might not go well, but I'd like to see.
I'd be excited. I'm not saying don't do it because it's not the right move or the right. I'm just saying that I think there's a lot of risk in that. It can hurt a guy's confidence. You can hurt trade value for the offseason, just saying. I'm just saying that there's risk with some of that because like Ryan said, you don't know what you're going to get out of those guys. But again, they do have high upside, and I do think that maybe out of the bullpen they could be effective, especially someone like Ben Brown.
Maybe bullpen.
Right. But like as a starter, it's just like that's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie pitcher in a playoff race. They don't have any major league experience. So that's why I'm saying if this was like June or May, June, or July, and you're up in the standings or something, a different scenario than the Cubs this year, then yeah, maybe. I think we would have probably already seen some of these guys if the Cubs had sold, but they didn't, and we're in a playoff race, and like the games matter, and so I just don't think they're going to risk with some of these young dudes down the stretch. And so yeah, I still think that there's a little bit of a leash for Smiley still, but I do think the best possible outcome or the best way of going things is probably doing some sort of piggyback role type thing with him, because I just don't feel confident in him going 5 innings, and he's given up too many homers. I mean, it is kind of like what Luke said, like him and Tyone have kind of reversed roles. Yeah. But yeah, I'd rather have Tyone be better than Smiley be, one, because he's getting paid more, but also like he does have the higher upside.
We did talk about,
and he'll be here longer.
And he's gonna be here longer.
We did talk about piggybacking, like I think spring training.
Yeah.
And then it didn't really come out for a while, but now it's like maybe that's a role that Smiley gets put in. Like I said, the last one he had against in St. Louis was good. 4 1/3, 1 run. Like had a great low outing after Wisniewski came pitched 2 innings and came out.
I am confused to why they went with the opener for Smiley's starts, technically, or not technically, but the days that he was supposed to pitch.
His turn.
They went with the opener the 2 times he was supposed to be a starter against the Cardinals. The Cubs won both games. Like you said, he didn't do great in the first one, but the second one, he was great. I don't know why they didn't just keep going with that.
I think part of it was it just had to do with the lineups that the Cardinals have and what they're kind of Beltran, obviously the righties, and like something we've talked about is the lefties have been hurting him a lot more than usual this year. And so maybe having
of course the righties tonight hurt him anyway because Pete Alonso just hits homers off.
Yeah,
everyone.
I don't know. So I think opposing lineups had something to do with it. Seeing them twice in like a week had something to do with that. I don't know, but that's kind of, I feel like that's a little more of a fluid type situation as far as will we see Smiley back in a piggyback type thing? Possibly. They have to do something, to help get him right. And Gary keeps mentioning the off days. They do have 3 coming up. They have one this week.
The bullpen needs some off days. For
2 next week.
2 next week. We have one this Thursday, I want to say, and then 2 more next week.
Monday, Thursday.
Yeah, so it'll help. These guys have been playing.
There was
what ended up being 16 games in a row, something like that.
Yeah.
So
there was a comment in the chat from Dinger's Cards about like the vibe after losing this one or whatever. Is this loss a huge momentum shifter or just a slight bump in the road? Kind of nervous for the last 49 games, but I love it at the same time. And for me, I just think it's it's just one game, and I think that it's not like you have to go up against Scherzer or Verlander the next 2 days. You got Tyone tomorrow, I believe. I do feel better about the rest of the series. I felt like they needed Smiley to deliver a April-May type performance for them tonight to win, considering what the bullpen situation was. Mm-hmm. And he didn't and that's why they lost. So here we are.
Home runs. That's why they lost. Hey, Hooters is your spot to catch all the games this season. Step up to our plate for world-famous wings, delicious seafood, stacked sandwiches, salads, and more. Tons of great beer specials and $6 drinks all day, every day. You heard me right. $6 drinks all day, every day. Check out the seafood specials. $19.83 for a pound of crab legs and great prices on buffalo and steamed shrimp. Hooters is celebrating 40 years in business all year long. In honor of that anniversary, on the 4th of every month, Hooters is hosting throwback events, bringing the 80s back with 83-cent wings and other great specials. You heard me. 83.
After you go
Hooters, get there.
After you get your Hooters, after you eat your 83 wings for 83
You could eat
cents.
83. Now that would
for all my friends, for us.
You think you could eat 83 of those wings?
No, I don't. I do not. I'd have to have. Well, if I had a lot to drink, then I'd just be full. Yeah, I couldn't do it. But if you had a very large group of friends that were perhaps going to go to beautiful historic Wrigley Field after because of game time, then you know maybe 83 would have been enough.
And at 83 cents, it's worth a try.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, you're going to go to Wrigley Field after you go to Hooters because that just sounds like an absolute day to me. Go on Game Time, get your tickets, all right? Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you with killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun. I went to beautiful historic Wrigley Field Sunday, and I went on Thursday, all thanks to Game Time. You just give you the picture.
Yeah.
Shows you exactly where you're basically going to be. Of course, it's a little weird because the bleachers, you can sit wherever you want, but other spots around the ballpark, it basically shows you. And it shows you if there's a pole in the way, too, which is clutch. Our friend at DMVR, Susie Hunter, she should have used Game Time whenever she went to Wrigley Field.
Way to throw her under the bus.
Yeah. Well, I still can't believe that was her one experience at Wrigley Field was sitting behind a pole.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. All right. So, again,
Just walk around.
Game Time is a place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone so you never have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app right now. Create an account and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price. Guaranteed.
Very nice. Cubs pounded by the Mets 11-2. The game took, 5 hours?
5 hours.
Way too fucking long, that's for sure.
It felt like 7.
2 hour rain delay.
If you're listening to this in podcast form on Tuesday and you didn't watch the rest of the game, good for you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Those of us joining us in live chat, we're still having fun. Brendan has a super chat and says, can we talk about Palencia? He wasn't good.
Hey, give up a 3-run home run. And like looking at
Danny Mendick.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's his whole thing is control right now.
Yeah,
he's
command.
Girardi said it. He's got the stuff. He throws hard enough. It's just,
and that was kind of the thing that people talked about him in the minors too.
Yeah.
So I know he kind of gives off the vibe of like a Dylan Maples perhaps, but he doesn't even have 10 appearances in the major league level yet.
Yeah.
That might have been his 10th or 11th, something like that. But it's basically what you're saying.
He's only got
Dylan Maples was given a lot of chances.
He only has 5 less appearances than Tucker Barnhart.
Yeah, I just think you got to ride it out a little bit with him, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we talked about with like Jeremiah Estrada and some of these other guys that, have the kind of stuff and have some success in the minor leagues, and they come up and just can't find it consistently. Like, actually, Palencia had some pretty solid outings for like most of his first appearances. It was just more lower leverage type stuff, end of game, whatever. Wasn't as much higher leverage. The last couple of outings, he had the one, what was that, Saturday. He gave up 2 runs in a third of an inning. Yeah. And then today, obviously he gave up a 3-run home run.
And it was all based off of the walks. He walked the bases loaded on Saturday against the Braves, I'm pretty sure. Then 2 walks tonight.
Yeah.
So
he,
I think he walked the bases loaded.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where he has the stuff like his fastball high 90s, sometimes triple digits, whatever. He's got the kind of stuff that you would, I guess, want your a bullpen guy to have. It's just like you guys said, the command is obviously an issue. I think just getting him more experience is going to be very beneficial for him. It just kind of sucks for him that the Cubs are in this win now mode right now. Like if it was last year and they brought him up, they could kind of just keep throwing him out there, test him out in higher leverage, all that stuff. Right now, they can't really do that. They have to kind of pick their spots with him, and he's got to be better, obviously. But it's a tough situation all around because they are in this win now mode. They're not. The focus isn't on developing young guys right now. They're winning games. They're trying to win games. They sat Seiya Suzuki for however many games in a row, 3 games in a row, right? He pinch hit later in the game today, but wasn't in the starting lineup. Like they're not worried about his development specifically right now. They're trying to win games. Daniel Palencia, again, if this was, even if it was earlier in the season, right? Like maybe even May, maybe he gets a little bit more run in like a higher leverage type moment, even medium leverage type moment, and kind of continue to get his feet wet at the big league level, put him in situations a little uncomfortable and see how he does. Right now, they don't necessarily have that room to do that, and he hasn't been good the last 2 times out. I think the Cubs still feel very highly on him, or else they wouldn't have converted him to a reliever this year. It's just another one of those where it's like you can't sit there and just hope this guy develops. Like if you're the Cubs, you're winning games, and he just needs to be better if he's going to stick in this bullpen. That's where it comes down to. He's got to be better and do better in the spots they're giving him because they're winning games. They're not worried about developing him specifically. Like that's not the highest item on the to-do list for him or for the Cubs. Daniel Palencia, when he gets the opportunity, he just got to be better. Last 2 times out haven't been that, but they do obviously still see something in him that they're keeping him around and giving him these opportunities.
I'll say this much. It was 7-2 when they brought him out there, so it's clear. It was very clear that they were just throwing him out there to try and see if he could bounce back from the appearance on Saturday. It's he's had some decent moments. I mean, his major league debut was in the most high leverage moment you could possibly put someone in their major league debut. In Milwaukee, and he was part of he was in the game whenever Happ threw out the runner at home to end the game, right?
Right.
Yeah, he threw strikes that day. He gave up a few hits, or whatever. He also got some big outs as well. So he's had some good appearances, and obviously he's had these last two have not been good. I think he's definitely falling out of the circle of trust if he ever was in it. But I guess on the flip side of that is Jose Cuas, I think, has put himself in the circle of trust.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. He pitched
twice?
Really
good against the Braves.
It's been a small sample
size. I wouldn't go that far, but I think he's.
Listen, you do that. You do what Jose Cuas did on Sunday against the Braves.
He's not in the circle of trust yet, but he could.
He's earning more opportunities.
Cody wants a shirt. Jose Cuas is in the circle of trust.
Listen, I feel better about Jose Cuas right now than I do Daniel Palencia. I never thought I'd say that.
When's the Cuastown Classic?
Oh, wow.
Don't make me be a Jose Cuas
He's making dad jokes. He's not even there yet.
I know.
Wow, that's something I should have come up with.
I also said earlier that they keep calling him Scott F. Ross, but they should be calling him Scott F. Cuas.
God. You've been hanging out with the beat people.
It's way too late. Yeah, that's a brat.
You're welcome for that.
Thanks to everybody in the chat that is still hanging out with us live, late. Are we in morning time yet? Almost 15 minutes away from. 15 minutes away.
Luke's got to
from
be up in like 4
Tuesday
hours.
in our time. Going to be up soon. So somebody in the chat earlier was asking about. They said about the playoff chances, right? And I saw FanGraphs was like 50 something.
They were
before the game,
52%, something like that.
52% before the game, but they said
they're down to 48%.
Baseball Reference had them at like 70% or something.
Someone in the chat said
somebody
that,
wants to, and in pregame wanted to know too. Who do you trust?
Yeah, I don't know the difference honestly. I go with Corey. Corey has said this is a FanGraphs podcast, so I just go with it. FanGraphs has them 48.6%, which compared to where they were 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah,
it's still way better. It's a huge jump for them because of that 8-game win streak and what were they like 13-3 or something like that, and like a 16-game stretch. Like they had a great.
I don't trust either one. I usually trust Delmetrics, and right now it's 50-50.
I don't know what Delmetrics says. 50-50.
Delmetrics
There's
says
a
we're going to the
50-50 chance they're going to make the playoffs.
Delmetrics says we're going to the playoffs.
Delmetrics has a 100% chance.
Oh, 100% chance.
Delmetrics says we're going to the playoffs.
Well, that's a
I fell in love with
forecast.
this team on August 6, 2023. We're going to the playoffs.
That was just a couple days ago, huh?
No, it was yesterday.
You don't even want to hear my predictions. I put it in the Slack channel last week. It's a stretch.
World Series.
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw that.
No one responded to it.
I don't even know if I saw it.
Well, I saw it, and then I was like,
honk, honk.
No, I was so serious. I am serious.
I saw it, and I just wanted to be like, man, she's really taking my role as the as the
super fan,
as the delusional super fan.
The irrational super fan. Yeah.
But hey, I respect it.
She's coming for your job.
I respect it.
Becky, by the way, said something nice. She said something like, Luke, Cody, Ryan, I like watching and listening to you guys. I'd like to be in pain with you or something.
Becky said we are cool to watch and listen. Becky
like to be upset, etc. with you guys. As long as you're not upset at us, Becky. Upset with us is okay.
Yeah.
Cody, tell us about Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary.
Well, Corey tells it better, but I will try to do as good as him. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer, a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs, no matter where you are on your cannabis journey. Easy online ordering and in-store pickup with great, transparent loyalty program. Sunnyside Rewards, Illinois' favorite dispensary. Some of the favorites out there: Mindy's, the best tasting gummy and chocolate edibles created by James Beard award-winning chef Mindy Siegel and Cresco Labs. Good News, which is gummies, a rechargeable vape pen, and cart, perfect for great moments with the crew, and a whole lot more, guys. Through August, head to sunnyside.shop and use code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order. One use per customer, not stackable with other promotions. That's not only for new customers. Anyone can use our code. Pick up everything you need to elevate your summer. Must be 21 plus or an Illinois Med Card holder. Cardinal fan yelled at me on Twitter the other day and asked me what I was smoking, and I said I use Sunnyside. That's where I get my stuff. So I told him to use
man.
code. I told
Company
him
man.
to use code CHGO25.
Microdosing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Becky says, I'm never upset at you guys.
Never.
I'll be upset with you guys.
With
Along with you guys.
Well, it's
There you
nice
go.
to know
There we
that
go.
someone isn't upset at us.
No, that's always
A
nice.
lot of people, it feels like they get upset at us sometimes.
You know what you'll never be upset with? Choosing Lewis University. Students are just like you. Full-time jobs, families, full-time sports fans, too. Go back to school to earn a respected degree at Lewis University. 35 miles southwest of Chicago and Romeoville, ranked as one of U.S. News and World Report's top-tier colleges. Lewis partners with numerous employers for tuition discounts and offers evening, online, and blended formats to help you balance work, family, and education. Faculty bring real-world experience and instruction to the classroom, which is immediately relevant to your career. We offer career support and academic resources for adult students. If you're looking to complete a bachelor's degree or master's degree or enroll in a professional certificate program, Lewis has the right program for you. Cybersecurity is one of them. Can't think of anything bigger going on in our country right now, but they've got that, and they're also recognized by the Department of Homeland Security Center as a center of academic excellence in cybersecurity, providing students with scholarship funding not available elsewhere. Lots of different programs, criminal justice, business programs, tech programs. Discover how a degree from Lewis can help you find a better world. Learn more at lewisu.edu/you can do this.
You can do this at Lewis.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Waterboy. You can do it.
That was like every Adam Sandler movie. In the early
What's his
2000s.
name? Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider.
Every single
Rob
one.
Schneider's character is
Filipino,
always the same.
If you didn't know.
You
Me and
can
Rob
do
him,
Schneider's
it.
Filipino?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Good for him.
like half or something. Makes me feel good. That's my.
Rob Schneider was also the coffee maker guy. Did you ever see that old skit? Where he'd stand by the Xerox machine and be like, Roberino, when he didn't know the people's names. And look it up. It's funny.
Okay.
Making coffee.
I'm going to be up late, so I guess I'll get on YouTube when I get home.
Look it up. Making copies. The copy man. Copperino.
I have no idea what's going on.
It's late.
Check it out. It's way too late.
It is weird hours.
Hey, we
almost.
got 32 likes. How many people are still hanging with us at this ancient hour after a
78,
horrible loss?
78.
78.
have one
That is
thumbs
so
down,
kind of you.
too.
If
Thank
like
you.
40 more of you could hit the thumbs up on the way out when we finally leave tonight, we'd appreciate it. We're going to be back for post-game, of course, the next couple games. Hopefully they can turn it around. When we were talking about the post-game chances, I was thinking this is slightly different than losing the first game to the Braves. But it's nice, or first game in a series to somebody else, but coming off that homestand, it still stings a little bit to me.
It's just it was
Because
just a
it's the
bad
Mets.
game.
It's the Mets, and it was just a bad game.
It was a bad game. I think you feel worse about the rain delay. I think
You're
that's what
right.
Really,
It's the
that's
rain
what really
delay.
brings
It's
you
the
down.
rain delay that really sunk my
Yeah,
spirit.
the rain day really ruined your day. I guess what bothers me is the fact that Milwaukee and the Reds won. But in the grand, when I think about it, though, is I was expecting one win against the Braves this weekend. The Cubs somehow messed around and won 2 games and somehow put themselves in a playoff spot for a day. Of course, those 2 teams bounce back today. The Cubs lose, so we're back at the position that you were after Saturday. So
Right.
now you have a chance to get back to where you were Sunday tomorrow. You got a pitcher who's been pitching better of late. And again, you're going up against a Mets team that they're not rolling out the same dudes you saw back in May. And I'll give Cody Senga credit. He was good tonight. He was a guy we all wanted on the Cubs, So weird how he said he wanted to go play for a competitive team. Hate to see that. But yeah, this is one game. Now, if they lose tomorrow, I'll probably be a little bit more angry just because they've won 6 straight series and you just got to keep winning games. And the Mets are, I know they're technically still kind of in it, but they sold off guys, right? They'd have to go on an insane run to really get back in it. But, they do have a decent lineup and, they're not the Rockies or, teams like that. So Yeah, if they lose tomorrow, I'll be very much more annoyed. But listen, I feel like they're over this long stretch since the All-Star break. Every time they've lost, they've bounced back, except one time against, I think it was
Boston.
No, they lost.
Charlie
in St.
says
Louis.
Mets, Braves, Reds, Nats. Lost the first game to all of them.
Yeah. Well, they lost the last game in St. Louis, then came home, lost the first game against the Reds.
Sure.
I know they lost 2 or 3 against the Red Sox, whatever. But like for the most part, after a loss, they've bounced back in the second half. So they just got to keep it going. Like they have one of the best records in baseball since the All-Star break. You just got to keep it going.
Since even well before like that start of that Giants series.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the way I look at it is like this game stunk for sure, but the Cubs going on the run they did, getting as close as they have, like they're still only 2.5 games out of the Central. They're still only a game back in the wild card. Like doing all that gave them a lot more of a margin for error and the ability to withstand a just complete dud like this. It was a bad game, like overall. Like the offense, I know there was that. I think it was the 5th inning when it seemed like they had something going, and then Happ overran third, couldn't quite hold on to it, and got tagged out end of the inning.
Yeah.
The pitching wasn't great for the most part. Like it was a bad game overall, but by doing what they've done since the All-Star break over the last few weeks, and honestly since June, at least part of that, like doing all of that and getting as close and making up as much ground as they have, like they have afforded themselves the ability to have this, type of just bad loss and it not feel like it's sinking the season. It goes back to that game Friday against the Braves. 8-0 overall bad game. Offense never got going. Pitching wasn't great. And then they went back and won 2 against the Braves the next 2 days. And even that game, I remember you asking on the show, Luca, does that kind of
kill the buzz?
Did it kill the buzz? And my thing was like it shouldn't, because did they get beat pretty badly? Sure. Same thing that they did today. But they've made up so much ground and done so much good for themselves the last few weeks that games are going to have. They're not going to win every game. Like they're going to lose.
Shower it off and come back
They're
tomorrow.
probably going to lose. They're going to wash it away. Go back to the park the next day and try to win a game.
And also they didn't have there was some bad luck on their end tonight too. Like the one inning where they scored the 1 run, it was 3-1 at the time. Horner gets called on the strikeout on a borderline pitch that. Whatever, it could have gone either way.
Barely caught.
Right.
It was
then
close.
Happ hits the line drive that, of course, gives us the Rafael Ortega revenge game with the sliding catch. Bellinger drives a run in and then Swanson strikes out. But that inning might have gone a lot different if Horner gets the walk and Happ's ball lands and then Bellinger comes up and drives in a run. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a tie game after that inning if the luck kind of goes their way with the umpire and the human element bullshit and Happ's ball perhaps dropping.
Yeah. So, I think my point was just they have done enough good the last few weeks that they can have a loss like this and it not feel like the end of the world or doomsday or the season sinking or even the buzz is being killed. Like Luke said, you go up, you hit the showers, wash it away, go to sleep, come back the next day, try to win a ball game. Because you have gotten yourself to a point where all you got to do tomorrow is just win. Like, just go out, just go win some games. Like, you can withstand, if you're the Cubs, you can withstand this loss because you have gotten yourself to a point where this loss isn't going to sink your season anymore.
Go back and win the next 2 games against the Mets, get one in Toronto, and then feast on the White Sox and feast on the Royals. Now, the White Sox game next week, we have the takeover, our first one at Wrigley Field. So make sure you go to allchgo.com, see if you can get your crosstown takeover tickets. We're going to be there. We're going to hang out at a Goose Island bar to be named.
I asked in Slack.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out,
People
but
are
I
still
guarantee
asking.
it's going to have a Goose Island tied to it. And Goose Island, of course, is the official beer of CHGO, is it not, Ryan?
That is true. CHGO, we love Goose Island over here. Goose Island is Chicago's beer since 1988. You just look at their beer roster; it's almost as good as like the Atlanta Braves roster right now. You got the Goose IPA, tropical beer hug, the 312 wheat ale, full pocket
Sarah was
pills.
sleeping on that.
I know, right? Cody, what is your favorite beer right now?
Oh, I had the summer shandy yesterday, actually. But 312 has been the go-to here at the office.
Yeah, I 312 still mine, but like I said,
I like a pocket pilsner.
Yeah, like I said, the Goose IPA, 6-time medal winner at the Great American Beer Fest, always in style, citrus aroma, bold hop finish, tropical beer hug, dry hopped Imperial IPA, 9.9% alcohol. That's dangerously easy to drink. Cody should beer bat that anyway, but we'll talk about that. The full pocket pills.
Let it go.
An everyday beer. It's what the Brewers are drinking. Luke mentioned we got the CHGO, the Crosstown Takeover next week. I may stop by. You never know. Maybe me and Vinny Duber come hang out. But yeah, so grab ultra fresh brewery exclusive beers at Goose Island Original Brew House on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer.
Very nice. Let's get to the best part of the night, and that is who you got.
It's the most important thing for the season, I've been told.
All right, Luke
It is.
won.
And I won. Thanks to Sarah reminding me that nobody had taken Bellinger, so I dumped the Palatine Pounder Talkman before the game, and I took Bellinger, and that increases my substantial lead in who you got this season. That takes us right up to midnight, which means it is technically Tuesday, the night and day that I win the Mega Millions, $1.5 billion. So it's been nice knowing you guys. Good luck on the podcast.
Well, I'm going to win.
He's trying to manifest.
I'm going to win the playoffs and World Series, who you got, like I did last year. I'm going to smoke you guys in that one, so that's all that matters. I'll take that over a Mega Millions.
Well, I guess I got to start working on.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm bragging rights.
I guess I'll start working on being my Luke Stuckmeyer impression.
That's right.
Of being the leader of the show.
Listen, if I win the Mega Millions, I'll buy you guys ice cream more than once.
Oh.
I'll send ice cream over. You know, the ice cream truck will come outside.
I'm going to hold you to
Appreciate
that
it.
at least. I'm going to hold you to the ice cream.
Get you some ice cream. Get you a candy bar.
If Luke Stuckmeyer wins the Mega Millions.
What do you like? An orange
completely
push-up? You like
disappears.
the chocolate with the cookie covered on the outside, or
Ooh, I
do you
do
like
that. Yeah.
what's your go-to at the ice cream truck?
It's definitely like the cookie with the ice cream on the inside, like the M&Ms.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the go-to one.
But if you just stop showing up because you won Mega Millions and don't follow through with the ice cream, I've been telling people lately, Luke, I'm a big grudge guy.
I know nobody holds a grudge like
No
Cody.
one
And if
holds
he
a
doesn't
grudge
get his
like
free
me.
ice cream when I win Mega Millions.
I want this free ice cream thing. I won't forget.
Thanks to everybody that joined us. 11-2 Mets beat the Cubs. Back for postgame on Tuesday. And we appreciate all of you until Tuesday's game. Thanks for watching, as always, and fly the W.